You remember last time we said EDI was lesson design and lesson delivery. The design are the components from learning objective to closure. The delivery is checking for understanding, student engagement, and corrective feedback when students have an incorrect answer while we're checking for understanding. All right, so we were in this part last time. The student engagement norms are what we use the most while we teach. This is really how we deliver the lesson. We do the tracking and pronouncing of the words and all of that. All right, so let's go down. Last time we did the pronounce with me. And remember, we point to the words and we pronounce the words. I think we had we say it, the students say it. We're always looking at the word. The cursor should actually be on the word. Okay, so this is at the word level. And then we did the tracked reading last time where we're actually now doing the whole sentence together. Okay, so Joel, let me see if we can get a couple of videos here.
Compare. Can we read it, please? 1, 2, 3. Compare. Can we read it one more time? Compare.
Will you please say the word location?
Location.
Just say the word compare.
Compare.
Please say the word identify.
Well, the first one, and that was my wife Sylvia, Dr. Ibarra, the other half of DataWorks. And you notice she used the word read the words because she's trying to emphasize. We usually would say, let's say the word, and then she actually used read the word. Okay, so let's look at another one.
I'm going to read it first. Today, we will compute the difference of whole numbers. Let's read together. Track with me. 1, 2, 3, read. Today, we will compute the difference of whole numbers.
Track with me. Today, we will distinguish, so we're going to tell apart something. We're going to distinguish between spoken and written English. I want you to read with me back underneath the word today. Ready, set, go.
Today we will distinguish between spoken and written English.
I'm going to read the objective. Let's put our fingers down and track on the page like we do. We will describe the cause and effect structure of text. Let's read it. We will describe the cause and effect structure. You can also see in there why we called it track and read. The track originally was students were following with their fingers on the page. And there's a good technique for the young students to follow along to make sure they're focusing on every single word. For older students, maybe tracking is not necessarily necessary as you're pointing to every word. Beginning readers need to focus on the words as they're decoding each word. And older readers can, by the time you get to year 5 and year 6, they don't need to track with their fingers, but you can experiment with that. All right, Joel, I think we're ready for the next one. Okay, let's read our next one together. Let's see how many people we're here if we got our mics on. Okay, ready? Read. Gesture with me. Okay, so this is our next strategy, is using gestures. And part of the idea is to see where it says store information in multiple ways. When you do a gesture, it stores it in your brain at a kinesthetic level as opposed to a phrase or words. And humans are very good at recognizing and remembering gestures. So I think let's just do one right now, and this will give us a chance to do some teaching also. So this is actually how you do it. So we're doing this lesson called Identify Characters in the Story. Okay, so students, if you look up here, we've got the sentence up here. We've already done the learning objective. We're right at this page now. Students, I'm going to read first, follow along, and then we're going to read together. A character is a person, animal, or thing in a story. Your turn, go. A character is a person, animal, or thing in a story. And we have some characters, right? This is Josie. Can we all say that? Josie, she's a character in the story. And the dancing frog, let's read that. Dancing frog, that's a character in the story also. Remember we said it can be a person or an animal. Now to be a character, there's some important things. Look up here, I'll read. Characters talk or do something. Let's read that together. Ready? Characters talk or do something. I'll read this first sentence. One day, a little girl named Josie was crying at the park. Let's all read together. One day, a little girl named Josie was crying at the park. Oh, I think Cecilia is the only one reading. I'm hearing you on the only echo. Let's experiment with unmiked and let's see if anyone else can come in. Let's everybody unmic for 1 second. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah,
It might
unmute.
just be one person takes over. Let's all read the next sentence together. Ready to go? She lost her ball. Okay. Now the next one. I'll read the first part. The dancing frog said, your turn. The dancing frog said, I'll read it and let's raise our voice a little. I have a gift for you, Josie. Your turn. I have a gift for you, Josie. Okay, let's all read together. It was a new ball. Yeah, I like the echo now. I can hear everybody.
Together.
Now, in reality, you for your very young students, you would do it that way. You'd track every single sentence. Now, students, we talked about this, and let's make sure we remember what we just did about what a character is. I said a character is a person, animal, or thing in a story. So everybody look at me. I hope you can see my picture there. A character is a person. Look, I'm pointing to myself. Everybody point to yourself. A character is a person. An animal. Show me an animal with funny ears. Show me an animal. And show me a thing. Point to your hand. A thing. Okay. So let's all read it together and do our gestures at the same time. Everyone go. A character is a person, animal, or thing in a story. Well, Joel, I love hearing everybody. All right, let's do the next one. Look carefully. Look at my hands. Characters talk. Show me talking. Show me your hands talking. Or do something. Show me like you're running or doing something. Okay, let's all read it together. Characters talk or something. All right, now, we don't have partners, but pretend you've got a partner. Okay, let's do the first sentence. Let's read the sentence to your partner and do the gesture at the same time. Okay, show your partner. What's a character? A character is
Animal in a story.
In a story. Oh, thing in a story.
Or do something.
Characters talk.
Yeah, let's do the second one too. Characters
Characters talk.
Also already did that.
Or do
Characters
something.
talk. Characters talk or do something.
Wow, these gestures are great. Now, keep in mind in the gestures, make sure the students are doing it. If you're just doing them as the teacher, that doesn't count. It's the students who want the kinesthetic activity. Okay, now, later on, one of the great uses of gestures is you can use it as a cue and prompt. Okay, later on, you're saying, suppose you've got this next question up here. I'm going to skip this one for a second. If you're doing this one, can the park be a character in the story? And they're thinking, is it a character? Says, is it? Remember, that's so you can cue it. Is the park? So when you ask people to show their whiteboards, yes or no, and then if you have to cue somebody, you've got the gestures are great ways to cue. So let's go back now and let's look at this one right here. All right. Character traits. Oh, we just got the same one. Character trait to reveal what he thinks, what he says, and what he does. Okay, I think we can do a noun. Ready? A noun is a person, a place, or a thing. Let's all say it. A noun is a person, place,
Or a thing.
and if you want to add idea, show me idea, something you're thinking up here. All right, so I'm going to give you one now. We don't have pairs. I'm going to do one more. Now, you do have the mirror problem that kids are looking at you. If you do greater than with your hands or less than, you're doing it backwards. So you've got to be careful. Sometimes I turn around and do my hands backwards to make sure we're seeing it the right way. If we can do this one, I hope we can see it. A prefix is a letter or letters at the beginning of a word to change its meaning. So let's all say that. A character is a letter at the beginning of a word to change
changes the meaning.
For example,
John, you said characters, that you meant prefix.
Oh my gosh, a prefix. Oh my gosh. I better do it again. Ready? A prefix is a letter or letters
Or letters, beginning of a word that changes the meaning.
Changes its meaning.
All right. Now, you know what a suffix is. Let me see you on your own come up with a gesture for the suffix. Practice just by yourself. A suffix is
Suffix
Suffix
is
is
a
something
letter
that
or
comes at
letter
the end
at
of the
the
word
end
that
of the
changes
word
its meaning.
that changes the meaning of the word.
Changes the meaning.
okay. Great. I think we got it. I just need to open up the question here. Does anyone have a gesture they use? If you don't have them, you kind of need to see other people. It's a good idea. But does anyone else have one they might use? Okay. See if you can share them with each other later. I kind of have some because we've done so many lessons and I kind of practice them and I come up with them. And I'm trying to think of a way to remember that. Do you know what a bee is, like a bumblebee? Yeah. Have you ever been stung by a bee? Yeah. Doesn't that hurt? Okay, so listen. I'm thinking of the cause. The cause is what? The bumblebee stings? I mean, then what happens? Ow, it hurts. So the cause is what? The bumblebee. The effect is what? Ow, it's hurt. Let's all do this. What? Cause, effect, ouch. Let's do one more time. Cause, ouch, effect. Okay. The idea is just remembering to do them. Let's go on to the next one. Pair share, A to B, B to A.
A, B, A.
You've been seeing us do pair shares quite a lot, and let's look at just a couple of the strategies about that. You've probably all heard the research of think time. I think the research is actually 3 to 5 seconds. So the idea used to be you delayed for 3 to 5 seconds because you want everyone to process in their brain. If you call someone too quickly, the rest of the students are not processing. They need that process time. We've actually extended the processing time when we do the pair share. We don't need the dead time to think because the pair share is now the wait time. You're turning to your partner, you're practicing, you're hearing and interacting it. And also, now think about this, when you do the pair share, every single student answers every question for the whole year, not just the 3 you call, but everybody during the pair share is actually physically given the words, used the sentence frames, and going back and forth, and actually done it twice. They've said it and heard it. So it actually replaces the think time. Okay, so here's some tricks. Make sure you label the partners. I've used A and B, but you can do door side, window side, chips and salsa. You can pick anything you want, animals, school colors. And you want to identify who to talk first. I think we practiced that the other day because you want both people to talk. If you just say pair share, sometimes both of them don't talk. So you want to make sure now A's go first this time. Now B's go first. Okay, now switch. Okay, the strategic pairs, don't put your 2 lowest students together or your 2 highest students. The research is actually 1 with 11, 2 with 12. That's too complicated. Just kind of mix up the ability levels because you want to get a good way the students can help each other. Now, this says to rotate pairs. Joel, I don't know if we have an exact number, maybe every month, every quarter, every term. But if you rotate the pairs, it allows students to have other people to work with. All right, now, you probably don't have any discipline problems at your school, do you? No, those are for the other schools. But I think all of you naturally, if you have a hot spot, usually you've got 2 students that need to be swapped out. And were you what? Anyway.
We have a few.
Well, I'm telling you that the pair share is a good way to solve that. Usually when you have a problem, it's 1 or 2 students. It's because they've got a pair that they're chatting with or they're interacting when they shouldn't be, when they should be watching the teacher. So one thing to do when you have problems is to swap the pairs. So you can swap the whole class. Maybe once a quarter, you have everybody move up and take another desk. I had a principal do that one time. All the A partners stand up, move over 1 desk, move back 1 desk, and sit down again. And that changed the whole room just in 1 minute. And I think all of you do this naturally. If you have someone you need to watch, you put them up next to you also. All right, now arranging the desks. We need to make sure the desks are set up for pair shares. Let's see if I have my little... All right. So let me get back here. So the best way here, you can see me teaching in Australia, describe the life cycle of the crocodile. You know, everything in Australia is crocodiles and kangaroos. Aren't those the 2 things we talk about? Anyway, so make sure your students are facing the teacher and facing the screen. If you get those desks of 4, sometimes the students have their back and they're not seeing correctly. So make sure they're like this. Make sure, now this is one that's called proximity effect. I don't know if you heard this, but if the teacher floats around within, I think it's within 2 meters the students are completely engaged because they're right next to it. Up to 4 meters, they're not too engaged, and then you get way out here, you don't have any of that effect of being very close to the student. So make sure you can float. Don't put your desk as a line across here, because then you get stuck behind the desk. So the teacher, as you're talking, you can be floating. You can walk out here a little bit, maybe while you're doing your pair shares, kind of watching over everybody, and you keep yourself moving around, so you got the proximity effect. That keeps everybody engaged. Now, here's another thing we can do in the pair shares is labeled carpet. Now, sometimes I've seen teachers put stickies or even numbers on the carpet, and the students know exactly where to go and they know where to sit. So don't spend 20 minutes getting the kids back and forth. You can train your students. They know where to go. Okay, everybody get ready. You know where you're going to go. I'm going to time it. Let's practice walking from our desk to the carpet. It's okay, let's go back to our desk and let's practice doing it again. Anyway, they know where to sit. Okay, so if you're going to use the screen, the carpet needs to be visible for the screen if you're going to teach from the screen, but sometimes they're off to the side. So, and then the other thing is, do some of you have an intervention table on the side, or maybe an aid?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so generally in EDI, what we do is you teach the lesson here, and by the end and closure, you may have identified a couple of students who need additional help. So while you're doing the independent practice, okay, everybody work on the problems on the handout. And while you're working over there, I'll be over here working with a couple of you. Now, what you can do during that to keep students on task, you can every 5 minutes or so say, okay, students, I want to see if you've done a problem. Show me problem number 1 on your whiteboard. Okay, go back to work. And then you work with the intervention. Okay, students, let me see if you've done problem number 2. And then you can check, just have them hold up their whiteboards occasionally, and then you keep working over here. So that's a very good way to do it. All right, so here's some of the problems. I've seen this. Here's desks of 4. Okay. And you can, oh, wait, I should ask you what's wrong with this. Wait, okay, let's take a look at it. Here's our rules. Students must face the teachers. They have to see the screen. The student can walk around to monitor, and the desks are close enough to pair share. So let's just everybody take a look at this one. And we don't have partners here, but tell your partners what is wrong in this scenario right here.
Think time.
Well, we don't actually have partners, but you'd pretend you'd explain to your partner what is wrong with this.
Kids with backs to the screen. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can all see this
Not
with the
facing the
students who
teacher.
got back. And when I do this, when I do demo lessons, when I do them, I actually make the students move the desk while I'm doing it, because this does not work. The students with the back, they turn a little bit and eventually they're not facing. And I think we can see what's wrong with this one is the teacher can't float. Okay, so, and a lot of times I go to classes and I move them right here. All right, I think we've seen some of those. Okay, I think we've done all of these. Let's see, we've done a lot of pair shares, but let's just play one pair share.
B's, tell A's, why did you write 8?
I want you to talk to your partner, and I want you to tell your partner, why did I put an S here for same? And A go first.
A's, tell B's why I underlined that 5.
I want you to turn to your neighbor. I want you to tell them, how did I know if I needed to regroup? Lincoln. Tell your neighbor your answer, and how did you know if you needed to regroup? Lincoln.
All right, so we want to know what is one difference between them, and let's try to use planning or details to try and talk about the differences. So let's have the B's start the conversation, and also down here right below it, it says a difference between written and spoken English is. So that's how you're going to start the conversation. If A hasn't gone yet, then A can go ahead and share with B.
The difference between writing and
Now, I'm going to talk about coaching for a minute. If I were coaching these teachers, did you notice only the last teacher gave the sentence frame before the pair share?
Okay.
The other ones went right to turn to your partner. So it might have been cut out or it's been edited, but I hope you saw the difference between the last student. So make sure you give the pair share, you give the sentence frame before the pair share, because you want the students to use the sentence frame with the academic language during the pair share. If you just cue the students afterwards, only the ones who are answering are actually using it. So let's make sure we do that. All right, but just the last thing we're going to look at very quickly is the reasons to pair share. And I think I just gave you the first one. I hope you can read this. Every student orally answers every question. And of course, automatic wait time, we've got that. Let's read number 6 together. This is important. Ready, read. Increases the student talk to teacher talk ratio.
Ratio.
I don't know if you've been observed by your administrators or somebody from the government comes over and they're trying to see what's going on. But this is one, when they see this, they say, wow, that's the best teacher ever. Look at the students, how much they're doing. So all the pair shares, the tracked reading is encouraging that. Okay, practicing on their own. Attention span. I don't know if I talked about this last time. I'll just do an open question. What do you think the attention span of your students is? The attention span, it's not the 20 minutes that your sessions are. It's probably 2 minutes. So the tracked reading, the pair share, and all of these, I call that reset the attention span. After you do something like when you talk with me and everything, then you're ready to listen for a couple more minutes. But we're never talking for more than a few minutes. Huge school district in the United States, if the state took over the district, made a rule, you must do a checking for understanding every 4 minutes, within every 4 minutes. So that's really kind of how fast you're doing stuff.
Oh, I think it was it wasn't one of our schools, but it was like Houston, Texas or something like that.
Yeah, I'm working in Texas and it was a neighboring school district, and the guy even said, look at what they're doing. They're trying to do kind of the EDI strategies over there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think we've learned a lot right here. So I'm going to let's just do, have you got your whiteboards or a piece of paper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So we've done pair shares a lot, but I hope within the last few minutes you've learned something kind of new about the rotating the partners, arranging the desk, sentence frame before the pair share, and of course the attention signal is to end the pair share. And I don't know if you heard some of those tapes, eyes front, back straight. So let's try that one today. Students, eyes front. You're going to respond back straight. Let's try one more time. Class, eyes front.
Back straight.
This is a good one with the young students because they'll actually sit up, listening position, hands on the table, nothing in your hands, looking at the teacher. You can use class, yes. We used that one last time. You can use whatever you want, but the eyes front, back straight is a nice one to use. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can do this right down. Something you learned about pair share or attention signal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you say, something I learned is, no, why don't you do this? A strategy I can use is something you just learned right now, okay? A strategy I can use is, maybe you learned to label the partners, to arrange the desk, sentence frame before, anything like that. So write a couple notes in there. All right, I see a couple of the boards up. In reality, we would do a pair share, and we would do it. Actually, if you put your boards up close, I can almost read them and pick someone. All right, I'm going to select Curtis. Can you unmute and report to the class?
Yep, the strategy I'm going to make sure I use from here on out is making sure I give the sentence frame before I ask them to pair share, so they're using the correct sort of language with their partners.
Yeah, and you notice he justified his answer because I want the students to use the language. If you had not justified it, my question would be, why did you select that? That's the natural follow-up with a teacher. Why did you explain or justify your answer? All right, Kimberly, I see a big one on yours. Can you read yours to the class? Unmute.
A strategy I can use is to label the talk partners so that it's quick and easy for them to respond.
Okay, very good. And I think, let's see, Cecilia, can you read yours?
Same as Kimberly's. Mine is the A to B, B to A, to make sure all students answer the question every time.
Yeah, sometimes you'll have a dominant person and they tend to answer all. And by the way, we don't use groups of 4. If you've tried to work in 4, usually one student does all the work and the others kind of coast along and don't do it. The pairs, everyone talks and everyone answers. All right, very good. Let's go on to the next one. All right,
All right,
let's read our next one. We'll read.
John, let's focus on the time too. I think we have about a little under 30 minutes, I think.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
quick
we're halfway
question?
there.
Oh, we have a question, John. We
Sure.
have a question.
Sorry, just about the attention signal. Can you use a bell or clap, or is it important to have the call response?
Well, I started with a little clicker, and I did exactly that thing. I did a sound. But I mean, you can kind of use anything you want, because when they pair share, you need a signal to come back. The advantage of this is call and response, and the idea with the call and response is those kids have to stop and say that, and it kind of when they respond, it stops them from talking at the instant you use it. But anything can work. Teachers usually they have a hand signal; they'll count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or something. I've seen various ones, but just make sure you have one so the students know it's time to stop.
Hey, can you read to B what we're going to do today? Eyes front. What are we going to do today, and Noe?
Tell your neighbor what you're going to do today, please, and be ready to tell me. What are we going to do today? Hip, hip. Okay. Yanni?
So it's not critical, but just you can see when you have all the action in the pair share, you need something to stop right away. Okay, the next one, I'll just read it. Whiteboards, and then the command is chin it. You've seen us do this a lot. Okay, now here's the new thing we need to do with whiteboards. Ask the question, pair share, we've done all this. Signal to raise the boards. Now let's read this together. Ready, go. Call on correct answers first, then incorrect answers. Okay, make absolutely sure you call the correct answers. If you use your sticks, you're going to do what I did one time. I called the only wrong answer in the entire class. And when a student gave the wrong answer, all the rest of the students started to question what they put down. What you want to do is have those correct answers come out. And then the other students who made a mistake, they have an aha moment while they're hearing the other students and they realize they made a mistake. And you need this little phrase here. Let's read our phrase. It's okay to change your answer. We're all learning today. So as you start using the pair shares, you just someplace during the beginning of the year, you say, students, if you realize you made a mistake on your whiteboard, just go ahead and erase it. That's okay. Okay, now when the boards come up, you're looking around to where the correct and incorrect answers are. You're picking correct answers on purpose. They're still non-volunteer. You're picking those, and you're keeping an eye on the incorrect ones at the right, and then you're watching to see if they change them, and then you call those also. So basically, remember, you have to have 80%. If you don't have 80%, it's boards down and reteach. The bulk of the students have to be there. All right, so then you call the correct answers, then work your way around the room and come up with the non-correct answers. Okay, so as you call the students, they read and justify their answer, and the incorrect students are actually hearing that. And then the ones who don't change, you're provided at the very end, the last student who didn't, then you can give them cues and prompts and give them hints and give corrective feedback till you've got 100% of them all the time. Okay, let's just see if we've done a lot of whiteboards. I think we know this. This idea with the correct answers first is the big idea we need to do from now on. Okay, all right, let's go on to one more. All right, let's see if we can read the whole thing. Ready, go. Complete sentences, public voice, academic vocabulary. I think we know this. We've done this so many times. This is the sentence frame before we start. The sentence frame before we start. Okay. Now, academic vocabulary, we already know the sentence frame is not my answer is 6. It's the perimeter of the polygon is 6. You have to have some vocabulary in the sentence. A complete sentence is not enough. It has to have vocabulary. All right, this is an optional one. Have the student stand up to answer. You can try this. We've done it in lots of schools. One advantage of when a student stands, all the other students turn and watch. It focuses the other students. And this public voice means you speak up, what I call a teacher voice. It's a loud voice, and I want this voice to be heard across the room. If students use little soft voices and you walk up to hear them, you lose the focus of the classroom. The other kids kind of drift off. So at least make them answer in a loud voice. And you can experiment with when you'd like students to stand up. Maybe not every single one, but it could be done, on and off during the lesson. All right, so let's see if we got something here. I think we've done all of this stuff before. So I think we don't really need to practice this anymore. I think we can go right down here. Okay, so let's just do the last one. We're going to do a little report out. And let's read what our question is. Ready to go. List at least two student
engage
that you will use
strategies
and
that we
why.
use and why.
Okay, we have a sentence frame. We can read it together. Remember we say blank. Whenever you see this, we just say blank. Let's read our frame. The student engagement
strategies
we use are blank because blank. All right, so before we do that, we're going to play a little video here. Let's do this activity first. Okay, get your whiteboards out, a piece of paper or whiteboard. Every time you see a strategy, just make a tally mark. You don't need to classify it, but when you see a pronounce, track, read, gesture, or whatever, if you see the students, if the teacher does the pre-read and the post-read, then you mark twice. Sometimes the teacher will just do the choral read, but then you mark that one, mark one. You don't need to use your poster. You're just going to mark on your piece of paper. So you probably know Joey Barr, or at least you've heard of him. Maybe you saw him last time. So we're going to do this little video, and we're just going to tally how many things we see. So let's just take a look at it. Let's get ready.
Track while I read this for you first. Everyone can either point on their paper up here. A verb and when I say past tense, this is our gesture. Past tense, everyone do this because it happens in the past. I'll explain it a little bit better. A verb in the past tense shows an action that has already happened. Now let's read that together. A verb in the past tense shows an action that has already happened. Past tense. Everybody gesture with me? That's how we know. That's the past tense. Track with me while I read this first. To use the past tense verb in a sentence correctly, identify clue words. So now let's read this together.
To use the past tense verb in a sentence correctly, identify clue words.
Okay, let's read. Some of the clue words in a sentence will tell us it's in the, everybody, past tense. Here's some clue words. Read them with me. Before, yesterday, last, earlier, in the past. Let me show you what that looks like. Everyone can read this sentence with me.
Jill jumped in the pool last night.
Well, she did this last night. Ready? Last night, so it's in the past tense. Track with me first. A regular verb in the past tense ends in ed. This is the key. Now read this with me.
A regular verb in the past tense ends in ed.
For example, everyone read this verb. Jump.
Jump.
But if I want it to be in the past tense, everyone do past tense? I add ed. So it's jumped. Everyone say jumped?
Jumped.
And this is a sentence in the past tense. Ready? Read it.
Jill jumped in the pool last night.
I added ed, and now it's in a regular verb is in the past tense. Can we read that with me? Explain why the regular verb cook changes to cooked in the past tense. And when you answer this, you say it changes to cooked because something changed. What has changed between cook and cooked? Why is it now in the past tense?
Cooked has an ed and cooked it doesn't.
A, talk to B's and tell them and make sure you have the right answer and you understand what's changed.
What's changed is the ed.
Eyes front.
That's great.
Giselle?
It changed because ed is added.
Exactly. It's in the past tense. It changes because ed is added. Whenever a verb ends in ed, we know it's a regular verb in the, everyone, past tense. Very good.
Just count how many check marks. I hope you do it right. I mean, if you've got it again, you mark it again and again and again.
Ah.
Oh, well, if you did it wrong, then okay. Okay, I see Emily's. Emily, can you tell me how many you have?
21 from the very beginning.
Okay, notice what I did there. I didn't say, Emily, it's 20. I made Emily read the board. That's just one of the techniques. Don't read the board as a teacher. Okay, 21. I think that's about right. It's around 21. The tape is about 3 minutes long. So that's, what is that, 7 per minute? I mean, you see all the interaction there? It's not talking too long. It's a text-based lesson, and we're using all the text. So this is just an idea to kind of get the feel of how often we can do it. Let's just look at a couple of things of checking for understanding. Okay. And I'll just read it for you. Teach first so all students are
All
equipped to
students are quick
respond.
to respond.
Yes, and this provides equal opportunity. Every student can answer because we taught something first. Remember, checking for understanding is verify students are learning while teaching. We're not looking at the homework or the quiz. We're actually in real time. Every couple of minutes, we're asking a question to make sure the students were with us and to know if we need to reteach. Okay. All right. Equal opportunity. We're not starting with who knows. Who knows is a guessing game. You start hearing the wrong answers. The students are learning the wrong answers. Okay. So we're trying to measure in real time and not background knowledge. Who knows is measuring background knowledge. You're trying to measure what are the students learning what I'm teaching right now. Okay, we don't want guesses and hearing guesses. All right, let's do the second one. Ask a question. Let's read it together right here. Ask a question specific to what you just taught. So the questions vary depending on what you're doing. In concept development, we're usually trying to distinguish between an example and a non-example. And let's just use a noun as a simple one. A noun is a word that needs a person, place, or thing, okay? So you could have two words up there, dog and jump. So kids, which one is a noun, dog or jump? So I'm asking you to compare it to what, an example or a non-example. Maybe you're doing a triangle and you've got a drawing of a triangle. Maybe you've got a square and you say, which one is a triangle? Is it A or is it B? We're distinguishing between two. Okay, and these are the type of sentences you've got. Which is an example of a noun? Why is blank an example of a noun? Why is blank not an example? How do the example and non-example different? Give me your own example. Draw me an example of a triangle, a circle, a square, or anything like that. Which diagram or picture shows something? In your own words, what is? Okay, so these are all the ways we can do examples of what is a noun. Okay, let's see if you can do one on your own now. Can you write me a checking for understanding question where you give first of all, everybody got your whiteboards? Okay, write down a topic you teach. It could be nouns, characters, triangle, circle, square, plot, setting. Okay, has everybody written a word down?
Yeah.
All right. Now, this should be a noun. It's a concept that you teach in your classroom. Okay, fractions. Okay, very good. Okay, so now you need to write a question. So students, which one of these is a fraction? So Lauren, on your board, you should write 1/4, and then you should write 6. Okay, and then your question is, which is a noun, 1/4 or 6? I'm sorry, which is a fraction and why? Okay, okay, can the rest of you do that? Yeah, I see the drawing. Okay, on Carly. Okay, okay, great. Now, I think if you're going to use whiteboards, you're going to have to label them. So Carly, can you write A and B on your two drawings? All right, so then your question would be, which is an example of 1/2, A or B? And the students just write A or B on their whiteboard. Okay, you label it so they can write it on their whiteboard so they've got a reference. Okay, now you need a sentence.
John, does it matter if it's A or B? Can they not just write 1/4 or 6?
Can you hold up your whiteboard? What's your question?
You said
okay, they could
to
just write the
be
number, which is
labeled A or B.
write 1/4 or 6 on your whiteboard. Write the left one or the right. Just write it on your whiteboard.
Is that okay to ask them to do that?
I mean, you could do that, or this is so simple they could do it. But we often use A or B because if you've got something long and complicated, we just want them to show A or B. Now, remember, for the very young students, have you used the red and green circle whiteboard, the yes or no whiteboards? Okay, you say, yeah, okay, so you say, is dog a noun? Hold up your whiteboard, yes or no. So you just have one question. You don't have to compare. You'd say, is dog a noun? Is jump a noun? Yeah, and you just do it with that. So for the very young students, you're not going to write at all. Yeah. All right, so let's see if you can now write your sentence frame. And usually you just say blank, which means A or B, is a blank, blank is a whatever it is, because. So see if you can write your sentence frame. Okay, I see Carly. So students should say whatever your choices are is a half because, and you should have taught it's in 2 equal groups, and they should be able to give you back the concept you taught. So anybody you did there, 0.46 is an example of decimal because it has a period. It's less than 1. Okay, blank is a fraction because it shows part of a whole, part of equal parts, whatever it is. So make sure you have a conceptual part you've taught before so you can do it. Oh, I broke my rule. I was reading reading the answers myself. Okay, I think we've done that one. Okay, let's look at the next one. Skill development guided practice. Okay, so this is the main one you're going to hear. How did I? Now, remember, in skill development, we're actually doing something, or how did I answer something? So you might have one. Do you do subtraction with regrouping? Is it called regrouping? Okay, all right. So you might work a problem, and you're going to say, "So, students, how did I know if I had to regroup?" Okay, these are process questions. How did I know how to regroup? Okay, so you have to model how to do it. You could have another question. How did I line up my numbers when I subtracted? I lined up by place value. How did I line up my numbers? How did I identify the noun? How did I identify the character in the passage? Okay, so this is for skill development. Notice this, how did I as a teacher do something? Remember, we do 2 problems. I do 1 and the students do 1, the teacher, student, those pairs. And then the second one that goes with this, how did you know if you needed to regroup, or how did you identify the fraction? Okay. So I might do the first paragraph. I'll identify the setting in the first paragraph where the story takes place. You ask, how did I do it? And then the second paragraph, students, you're going to read it and say, how did you identify this? So I want you to write a how did I question. How did I, and then fill in the rest of that, something you did. Identify the character, add the 2 numbers, write a compound sentence. Remember, these are process questions. Okay, very good. Let's get your boards up when you've got them. We don't have pair shares. We would be pair sharing if we had them. Okay, Rachel, can you read yours to the class?
How did I know I needed to regroup?
Okay, now you have to model that during your training, right? During your lesson. And in regrouping, when students don't know how to regroup, they do what I call upside down subtraction. And you'll see it. They subtract because they can't subtract. The numbers are, the large and small numbers don't work. So we model this very carefully. Okay, I think we've got all that. All right, Joel, I think with the last few minutes, we better just spend our time teaching something.
Yep.
So let me get out of this one and let's just see if we can pick a couple ones. I'm going to do a long one. Let's see if we can do the inferences lesson.
Oh yeah, draw inferences would be great.
Yeah, let's do it all the way from the beginning. Okay, so let's do a little thing on a learning objective. If we have a word, this is footnoted, we teach that word. And remember, we can pre-pronounce a couple of words also. So students, before we start, there's a big word here, inferences. Let's all say that word, inferences.
Inferences.
Can you say inferences to your partner twice?
Inferences. Inferences.
All right, we have another word up here. This word is draw. Can we all say that? Draw. Now we have a definition over here. Now teachers, this is your note. This is a multiple meaning word. The students already know draw, like draw a picture, and this is a new meaning of the word. So there is a technique with a multiple meaning word as you give the initial meaning of it and the new meaning. So students, draw means it's to draw a picture, but today has a new meaning. Today means what we're going to take out some information. Draw means to take out. For example, we're going to take out the inference or the idea. We're going to draw. Can you draw a conclusion? I'm going to take out a conclusion or get it from something. Okay. So I'm going to read first. We will draw inferences from text. Let's read together. We will draw inferences from text. Of course, it means we're going to take them out. Okay, can you turn to your partner and read the objective to your partner? Pretend we're doing that.
We will draw inferences from text.
Okay, and then I would say for the other partner to do it. Okay, now I'm going to call a couple people. Emily, can you read to the class? We will.
We will draw inferences from text.
Okay, I think you can see how we do this. And you might have to use corrective feedback. You might have to use echo reading. If the students can't read, you'll go, we will draw inferences from text like that. All right, let's go on and do another page. Okay, so this is the activate prior knowledge. Now, this is to get the students ready. They do know something about inferences. They do not know the word inferences, but they do know the idea of it. So we're going to get the idea across. Now, we're going to have the students read this. You can decide whether you need to pre-read or not, or whether we can just read it. Okay, so students, we have some instructions here. Let's read it together. This word is conversation. Can you say that word? Conversation. That's two people talking. You can see the grandmother talking here. Okay, let's read the directions. Read the conversation. Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Okay, so here it is right here. Now, usually in tract reading, we're just reading, but we can also use prosody to get the students to read like people. So students, this is someone talking with a quote, so I'm going to raise my voice, I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to drop my voice for the last part. Listen how I read it. Mary, don't forget to bring a towel and sunscreen, said Grandma. So we're going to raise our voice and then drop at the end. Okay, ready, class? Read. Mary, don't forget a towel and sunscreen, said Grandma.
Said Grandma.
Okay, so now this word is educated guess. Can we all say that? Educated guess. Okay, so we're not just going to make a guess. Our educated means we're going to think about it. We're going to look back at the words up here. So let's read this, our activity. Ready, go. Make an educated guess about where Mary is with her grandma. Okay, on your whiteboards, write one word on your whiteboard. Where do you think they're going? Okay, now, this is how you're going to answer the question. My educated guess is blank because. Let's read our sentence frame. Ready, go. My educated guess is blank because. Okay, turn to your partner and use your sentence frame and explain.
My educated guess is
because they need their sunscreen and a towel.
Okay. Janet, let's see our whiteboards. Up. Okay, now I'm looking around. I can't read everybody because they're a little bit hard. Okay, Jill, can you read your answer to the class?
My educated guess is the beach because if they were going to a pool, they probably wouldn't need sunscreen because it's an inside area.
Okay, very good. I could call a couple more people. Okay. And then students, you already know how to make an educated guess. You all look at these words like towel and sunscreen, and you knew they were going to the beach or to the swimming pool or something. Anyway, there's a name for this educated guess. This is called an inference. What's it called? Let's all say it. Inference.
An inference.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to skip up and this is, we got 5 minutes. Let's see if I can do it here. Okay, let's pretend we've already done the concept development. Here's an example of an inference. Here's a checking for understanding. All right, an inference is what we think is happening based on the information we have. Inferences are supported by quotations from the text. The inference itself is not written in the text. It's that idea of what we think is happening. Okay, so students, we have some questions, directions. Let's read number 1 together. Ready, go. Read the question and identify the inference. So we've got the statement right here. Let's read it together. Which words and phrases in the passage support the inference Maria is running late to school? So students, it says identify the inference. It's given right here in directions. Let's read the inference. Maria is running late to school. Now, we know that is not going to be written in the text. It's not going to say she's running for it, but there will be information in the text to give us that idea. So let's read number 2. Read the text and identify the text that supports
inference.
Okay, now we're looking for words and phrases that give us the idea she's late for school. We'll not actually say she's late for school. Okay, so let's read sentence number 1 together. Ready, go. Maria rolled over in her bed. Now, I
The
think she's
sun.
waking up in the morning, but there's no idea that she's late for school. I don't see any clues in here, any supporting text that she's late for school. I'm going to read the second one. Uh-oh, we gave away one of the answers. The sun was shining throughout her window, warming her face. She's waking up in the morning, but it doesn't show she's late for school. She's just waking up. Okay. Let's read now. Okay, so it just says she's waking up, but there's no idea that she's actually late for school. Okay, so quickly explain to your partners, why do I think there's no supporting evidence that she's late for school in sentence 1 and sentence 2? Can you tell your partners that? Be ready to tell me.
It might not be a school day.
Because it might not be a school day.
She could
Okay, I'm going to tell.
every hour of the day.
Okay, now, Brittany, can you explain to the class, why do I think there's no information here that shows she's actually late for school?
There's no information to say that it could be a school day.
Yeah, there's no information. It's a school day. That's very good. We don't know that yet. Okay, let's read sentence number 3. This word is basking, which means what? Exposed to the warmth, like you're lying on the beach or you're under something warm. Let's read sentence number 3. She felt relaxed,
and happy.
basking in the sun.
Basking in the sun.
Okay, she's woke. Now, on your whiteboards, yes or no? Does sentence number 3 support the inference that she's late for school?
No.
No.
Yes or no?
No. No.
Okay, so you're just going to turn to your
She could
partner.
be
Sentence
a
3
seal.
supports or
No.
does not support the inference because?
Yeah. It doesn't
No,
say
it doesn't
she's a
support
human.
the inference because it says she's relaxed and happy. She doesn't. There's no evidence to say she's rushed.
Oh, she's in a
let's-
bed.
Okay, let me see the boards again. Okay, Gabby, let me see your board. Okay, can you explain your answer?
Sentence 3 says she feels relaxed and happy, and if I was running late to school, I wouldn't be relaxed or happy.
Okay. All right, let's read sentence number 4 together. Struggling to open her
Struggling
eyes
to open her eyes
at the
She
clock
blinked
and
Blinked at the
froze.
clock and
froze.
froze.
Now, froze means she stopped moving. She went like this. Students, now we have the first hint that she's late for school. When she looked at the clock, all of a sudden she said, wait a minute, I think I'm late. This is the first hint. Okay, let's raise our voices here and let's do number 5. Ready, go. Oh, no,
Oh,
she
no.
screamed.
She screamed.
Okay, whiteboards, yes or no? Does sentence number 5 support the inference she's late for school and why? Okay, whiteboards up. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to speed it up. Oh, wait, I see one that doesn't. Look what she says. She looked at the clock and screamed, oh no. She realizes something about the clock, about what time the clock is. Okay. Let's read the next one together. It's sentence 6. Ready?
And then, John, this has to be the last one. We're out of time.
I know. We ready? Okay. Maria jumped out of bed, threw on some clothes, brushed her teeth, snatched her backpack. Okay, on your whiteboards, yes or no? Does this support the inference that she's late for school? And write the words on your whiteboard that support it. Just these few words in that sentence that support she's late for school. What's the textual evidence?
No.
Not the whole sentence.
No.
Okay, let me see your whiteboards. I'm going to stop right there. This is a very sophisticated sentence. I've taught this several times. No one picked brushed because brush doesn't show any speed, does it? This is a great sentence because this is now you're really thinking about which one shows she was late, and this just shows she's in a hurry and she's doing something. Okay, so this is the rule of 2 applied at the sentence level. I call this vote with your whiteboards. I actually did this in Australia. It's kind of where I started putting it together. The rule of 2 used to be I did the whole paragraph, you do the next paragraph. I don't need to wait. I can do sentence by sentence. Notice I did a couple of them, the non-examples. I had you do a non-example. Then I did the positive example. Yes, this one supports. Then I had you do the rest of them. And by the last one, I just say do it on your own and do it. Okay, Joel, I think we need to wrap up right there.
Yeah.
We'll leave out the summary here, but we finished the norms today, and the big idea is how we can analyze some text using this vote with your whiteboard. We have a criteria supporting the inference that we have right here. Okay, Emily, do you have any summarizing remark you'd like to add?
Emily's sitting with the principal right now, so that's going to work out.
I just think it's fantastic to see how much interaction is going on and that we can be really sure that our teachers are learning what we're teaching, which is the whole point of teaching. So very excited.
Okay, good. It's just a matter of practicing and remembering to do it. Okay, Joel, I think we need to sign off. Let me stop my share right here. We've run over a couple of minutes.